A very good morning to all of you, my dear students of class science. And I hope that you all will be very fine, happy, healthy at your residence along with your family members. And I request all of you to be of your house. There is no need to come outside. And please keep studying from inside the house. So, my dear students, as we are studying right now, SST of class 7, and in that subject I have started history book named Our Past 2 for class 7. In this book, as we all know, that we are discussing about medieval time period history. So in the same direction I would like to move forward. We are right now in chapter number 2, and in chapter number 2 I have told you that what was prasasti and what was land grant. Okay, then now we have to move forward, and we will discuss about warfare for wealth, you know? We will discuss about this heading, what I mean warfare for health. We have discussed land grants, copper plates. Regarding land grants, we have discussed all these things in our previous videos. Then what was given in with the land, this heading we had studied. And the things, that various kind of things that were being gifted to the king by his counts, have been mentioned in this paragraph as gift, or as as being their subordinate. The samantas used to go to emperors, and they used to give something as gift, or as their support to that particular king. And these things were being mentioned in the inscriptions or in the prasastis. So by this way, a bond between emperor and counts was maintained. Now we would like to discuss about warfare for wealth. है ना? Warfare for wealth. You may have noticed that each of these ruling dynasties was based in a specific region. है ना? If we talk about this map that is provided on page number 2 of this chapter, this map, on first. So we can see that there are various kind of dynasties like Chahmans, then Gurjar Pratihara, then Parmars, then Chandelas, okay, then Kannauj dynasties in Uttar Pradesh, okay, Rashtrakutas in South India like Andhra, Karnataka, in that particular area. Cholas are in Tamil Nadu, Cheras in Kerala, Pandyas in again in Tamil Nadu. So what we come to know here, that we are discussing, that we got a notion that all the dynasties were available in a particular and a specific region at that time. At the same time, they tried to control other areas, and at the same time, these dynasties tried to control other areas. It's a very starting time period, so I know that you won't able to. You will not be able to so comfortable about the names of these dynasties. I'm telling you basic example like Chola dynasty. We will read further in this book. Chol dynasty, and a famous emperor of Chol dynasty named Rajendra second and Rajendra first. Sorry, Rajendra first. He went to the. Will you believe he went to the Bengal? I mean, right now where we are staying, where we are sitting. He came from Tamil Nadu to this state, and he defeated the emperor of Bengal. How was it possible at that time in 1000, in 11th century? It was not very possible for them to come over here and to control the situation, political situation of this area. But still the emperor used to go from one place to another place, and they used to conduct war practice for getting wealth and for getting area at that time period. So what we come to know about here, that in the same way, Rashtrakutas king also, they participated in triangular war that was conducted in Kannauj for the controlling of Kannauj. You know, Kannauj is a very famous place in Uttar Pradesh, and it is very famous for its perfume. So at that time, Kannauj was the capital of Kanikubja dynasty, and then later on, after the decline of Kanikubja dynasty in 8th century, then Kannauj became a very, what should I say, bone of contention between three political power: Bengal, Pal dynasty of Bengal, then Gurjar Pratihar dynasty of Madhya Pradesh at that time, and later on the third one from South India, Rashtrakutas dynasty from South India. So, in such a way, the war used to be conducted at that time. Okay, at the same time, they tried to control other areas. One particularly prized area was the city of Kannauj in the Ganga. Now, see, the name has also come. Area was the city of Kannauj in Ganga Valley. For centuries, rulers beginning to the Gurjar Pratihara, Rashtrakuta, and Pala dynasty fought for the control over Kannauj. The same line has come. Okay, that for the sake of region and for the sake of wealth and for the sake of control over Kannauj, as it was a very famous commercial center, it comes in a direct trade route between South India to North India. So the controlling of Kannauj was very much important for all the three dynasties. These three dynasties were the, top powerful dynasty of the contemporary time period. So that's why they wanted to control Kannauja. So between Rashtrakuta, Pala, and Gurjar Pratihara, there was a fight for controlling this particular area because there were three parties in this long drawn conflict. Historians often described it as triplet struggle. Underline this particular term. Triplet struggle means the struggle between three parties, the struggle between three dynasties. Okay, and what are three dynasties? Then Rashtrakuta number one, number two Gurjar Pratihara, number three Pal. So a war practice between three dynasties is called triplet dynasty. And if the topic will come in further chapters, then I will tell you in detail. As we will see that rulers also tried to demonstrate their power and resource by building large temples. Okay, as we all see that rulers also tried to demonstrate their power and resources by building large temples. So when they attacked one another's kingdom, they often choose to target temples. So huge buildings, huge temples, huge monuments used to be constructed by rich emperors at that time period. That and when the other invader used to attack on some other region, then the target used to be temples. Suppose that if we talk about India, then we know that Mahmud Ghaznavi, he came to India and he attacked over India from 1000 AD to 1027 AD. He attacked 17 times over our country. Okay, but the most famous attack of him was on the attack of 1025 AD, and this attack was done in the temple of Somnatha. You know, Somnath is a very famous temple of Gujarat area, Gujarat state. So in that temple he attacked when in the year 1025. And what was the purpose of his attack? His whole purpose was to acquire maximum wealth as much as he can, maximum wealth. Okay, so for that sake he attacked over Somnath. In the same way, when a emperor or when a foreign invader used to attack on a particular area or particular emperor, then the main goal used to be to acquire maximum money, maximum wealth. So for that sake, at that time the temples used to be the center of wealth. So they used to attack on temples. Okay, as we will see that rulers also tried to demonstrate their power and resources by building large temples. So when they attacked one another's kingdom, then they often choose to target temples, which were sometimes extremely rich, sorry. Yes, 100%. You will read more about this thing in chapter number 5. We will see it later on in chapter number 5. Okay. Now Sultan, an Arabic term meaning ruler. Okay. One of the best known such rulers is Sultan Muhammad Mahmud of Ghazni. Mahmud Ghaznavi it is also called, or Mahmud of Ghazni we can call it. Okay. So now we are going to study about it. That Sultan means Sultan is an Arabic word. Arabic is a language, and in Arabic language, Sultan means ruler. Okay, and we can call ruler as a Sultan. So one of the best known of such rulers is Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni. Kindly underline this particular name. Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni, Afghanistan. Ghazni is a place in Afghanistan right now. So underline this thing. He ruled from 1997 to 1030, okay, and extended control over the part of Central Asia, Iran, and northwestern part of subcontinent. He extended his, although he was the emperor of Ghazni at that time. Right now, Ghazni is a very small village of Afghanistan, but at that time it used to be a huge empire, the capital of a very broad empire. Then, when Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi sat on the throne in the year 1997, then he started expanding his his area, his dynasty. Then, what happened? He expanded his dynasty to the Central Asia, Iran, and northwestern part of subcontinent. He reigned the sub sorry, he raided the subcontinent almost every year. Sorry, my screen is not very clear, so that is why little bit difficulty. Extremely sorry for it. So the further part what we are studying, that he raided the subcontinent almost every year. He I mean invaded our country almost, as I mentioned that within 20, he his first attack was in 1001 AD, and last attack was 1027 AD, and between these 26-27 year he attacked 17 times in on our country. Iran, and he raided the subcontinent almost every year. His targets were wealthy temples, including that of Somnatha, Gujarat. Okay, so in his target used to be various kind of temples, and among them, the most famous temple was Somnatha, Gujarat. Much of the wealth Mahmud carried away was used to create a splendid capital city in Ghazni, and the money, the wealth that he acquired from India, he utilized it to create a very grand capital city at Ghazni. Sultan Mahmud was also interested in finding out more about the people he conquered, and entrusted a scholar named Al-Birni. Okay, then what happened? Al-Birni to write account of some continent. When Mahmud Ghaznavi, I mean, carried some wealth with him, along with that he carried away many persons from here also. Sultan Mahmud was also interested in finding out more about the people he conquered. He wanted to know the maximum thing, the maximum area, thing of the uh, activity of the people of that particular area. So he appointed a historian in his court. His name was Al-Birni. Okay, his famous book is Tahqiq a Hind. In this book, it has written Kitabul Hind. So his famous book is Kitabul Hind or Tahqiq e Hind, and he has written this book to describe the condition of Indian subcontinent of that time. So Al-Birni to write an account of subcontinent, this Arabic work. Now this book has been written in Arabic language. This Arabic work known as Kitabul Hind remains an important source for historians. He consulted Sanskrit scholars to prepare this account. So who is he here? He is this one, Al-Birni. Al-Birni consulted Sanskrit scholars to prepare this book, to prepare this account named Kitabul Hind. So this is very much important for you people. The last paragraph for today that I would like to discuss, that other things who engaged in warfare included the Chahmanas, later known as the Chauhanas, okay, who reigned over the region of the Delhi and Ajmer. So the Other thing what we are going to discuss in this next paragraph about the story of Chahmanas. Chahmanas were the rulers who were ruling earlier on Ajmer, okay, who were ruling on Ajmer. The Ajmer was the capital of Chahman dynasty, but later on the rulers expanded their control over Delhi, and then they became the emperor of Delhi also, and they transferred their capital from Ajmer to Delhi. They attempted to expand their control to the west and the east. They tried to attempted a control over east and west, where they were opposed by Chalukyas of Gujarat, and the further is uh, Gadwals of western Uttar Pradesh. Now, when they tried to expand their dynasty, then they were opposed by two powers. In west side, in Gujarat area, they were opposed by Chalukyas, and in western Uttar Pradesh, I mean the east area from Delhi, they were opposed by Gehadwals. Okay, the best known Chahmana ruler was Prithviraj III. Underline this one, very important. The best known Chahman's ruler was Prithviraj III or Prithviraj Chauhan. His total time period was from 1168 to 1192, who defeated an Afghan ruler named Sultan Muhammad Ghori in 1191, but lost to him the very next year in 1192. Underline please all these lines, very much important. The most famous Chahmana ruler was Prithviraj III. The other name of him was Prithviraj Chauhan. He ruled over our country from 1168 to 1191, and earlier in the first battle of Tarain is right now it is a place in Haryana, but earlier when at that time Haryana was no more, so it used to be a part of Delhi. So in the great battlefield of Tarain, he in the year 1191 he defeated Muhammad Ghori, who came from Afghanistan. He was also an invader, an attacker over our country, and he defeated Muhammad Ghori in the first battle of Tarain. But he left him to let him go. So in the very next year, in the year 1192, again Muhammad Ghori attacked over our country, and at that time Muhammad Ghori badly defeated Prithviraj Chauhan in the second battle of Tarain in 1192, and ultimately he carried Prithviraj Chauhan to Ghazni. I mean, yes, to Afghanistan, and he killed Prithviraj Chauhan there in the year 1193 possibly. Okay, he defeated Muhammad Ghori in 1192. Later on he killed Prithviraj Chauhan in 1193 approximately 3 or 94, 1194. So by this way we come to know that how the other invaders, other attackers uh, came to our country, and they conquered a huge part of our country. And now that is sufficient for you today. So what is your homework from my behalf? Your homework is that you have to write three points about the following emperors. You have to write three points about the following emperors. Number 1, Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi. Number 2, Sultan Muhammad Ghori. Number 3, Prithviraj Chauhan. A. Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi, B. Sultan Muhammad Ghori, C. Prithviraj Chauhan. Okay. And one thing more. You have to write only 3 points about Al-Birni also. Al-Birni. You have to write 3 points about Al-Birni. Okay. So write on these 4 topics: Sultan Muhammad Ghori, Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi, okay, then Prithviraj Chauhan and Al-Birni. Write three points on all the emperors and historians also, and show it to me in Google e-classroom. So that is sufficient for today. Keep on studying. Please take care about your health and be healthy and happy. Stay safe at your residence. Okay, and we will meet tomorrow. Thank you for joining me.